Yo, welcome back to my channel. Listen, it feels so good to sit down here and talk to you guys. I originally wanted to film this video like months ago. I actually did film this particular video, this particular update months ago, but I didn't post it. I didn't like the tone of it. And I had wanted to film this video for some time now, but I was like afraid of vulnerability. I was a bit afraid of transparency and a few other things. I'm about to get out of here and in a minute and go work out. It is definitely leg day and back day, and I'm about to do some cardio by the river. So I figured, why not get on here and talk to you guys? So let's go. As you can tell by the title, I recently, or some time ago, was laid off from my job. Yes, I was laid off from my job. Yeah, I didn't talk about it much. I haven't been very transparent, but for about a year and a half, I had worked for a startup. It was a startup inside of a very prominent company. If I said the name, you would know the name. And so basically what happened, it was a startup where we were assisting the aging population, and the startup just didn't do well. It just did not do well. Everything happened so fast. So I came in on a Friday, or we came in 1 week, and by that next Friday, they was telling us to pack up and to not return to work. And I was forced to, not come in the next day, And I'm going to be honest. I originally, when it happened, I was kind of like, I was shocked. I felt so many emotions. I was shocked. I was like a bit scared. At first I was happy, for the simple reason I'm like, good, I get to sleep in tomorrow, And, but then, panic started to set in, as it would for anybody in that situation. And I called my 70-year-old aunt who raised me, like, pray for me. I'm freaking out, and she prayed for me, And I remember that day, like I said, I felt a lot of emotions. I felt lost. I felt guilty, and it's so funny because I heard another content creator on here say, the thing about getting laid off is that you get to be the victim. You know what I'm saying? Because it's different. Like if you get fired, you kind of know that you did something wrong. You didn't show up on time, or you were late all the time, or you cut somebody out through email, or something like that. But, I heard another content creator on here say that when you get laid off, you get to be the victim. You know what I'm saying? You get to say what happened to you, knowing that it is no fault of your own. But for whatever reason, I still felt guilty. I had certain emotions of guilt. And like I said, I was happy. There was a part of me that was glad. So if you have not been following me on TikTok, which you need to, I talk a lot about over there how I just do not want to work in a 9-to-5. I don't want to work in the corporate world. If it was up to me, I would love to travel the world. Specifically traveling the world doing music, travel the world doing, creative content, such as this. I would love to be in like urban plays. I would love to be a background singer, all of those dreams that, you just hope come true, or you hope to make come true, all of that. And so what was funny is, I had literally did a whole video on TikTok like 3 weeks ago where I was asking, the people on TikTok, does anybody else feel like we're at work too long? Like where we work 8 hours a day and afterwards we come home and it's only 4 hours to either grocery shop, make content, practice, clean your house, or just to sit and binge watch your favorite show. And to my surprise, so many people identify with that. And to this day on TikTok, it is like that video took off. It is like my highest viewed video, I think, at this point. And I was telling the people that I'm 33, and sometimes I feel like it's too late for those dreams. Sometimes I feel like, it's too late, and the safe route is to, get a job and have stable income and all of that. And so I did that video, and that video took off. I think it was like 3. It was like a series I did. And I talk about in that video how it's just like we have 24 hours a day. And I talk about how in doing research, originally the workday was 12 hours. And so what happened was they cut the workday down from 12 hours to 10 hours. And then it was settled on 8 hours because it was supposed to be 8 hours for work, 8 hours for leisure, and 8 hours for sleep. And so, as I said on TikTok video, I'm like, my thing is, who gets to decide what I do with my time? When I originally got laid off, my first thought was, of course, I'm going to take some time off. I'm going to take some time off from, the work world, and I'm going to, try my hand at, music, at, being paid by my gigs, my music gigs, and by content. I'm not paid by content creation, but I was going to try my hand at just going all in at content creation, And I had made a life update video around that time where it was just so like inspirational and so faith filled and so like, hey, look at me, I'm laid off, but I'm going to keep the faith and escape the 9-to-5 world, And I was going to hit record. I was going to, hit upload and all of that. And then reality set in. And then I start to realize that, money start to get low at one point. And reality set in like, this is not always fun. You know what I'm saying? Going after your dreams, chasing all of that is not always easy, And so I didn't like the tone of that video because it was so like, oh my God, look at me. I quit my job. Life is good. I'm going out into the entrepreneur world, And that wasn't my reality on the inside of me, because on the inside at one point I was scared. I felt lost. I didn't know what I was going to do. I felt like, oh my God, am I going to be able to pay my bills? And then there was a part of me that was like, I don't want to go back into the 9-to-5 world. I don't want to go into the corporate world, but what am I going to do? So I was like, I'm not going to upload that. And so today, earlier today, I had a job interview. And I had a job interview with a particular airlines for a particular position. I'm not going to say, what airlines and what position, but I figured like, hey, I'm going to, reality set in. Let's go get another job, and I've been applying and all of that. And so I go to the job interview and, I have my interview attire today, and also excuse my hair, but I am definitely going to the barbershop in a couple of days. But anyway. But I go to the interview and I get to the interview and I'm like, I hope I get this job. They had me sit down in the break room before they called me in, and they were late. And I'm just looking over the whole job description. And I'm in the break room like, this is not what I want to do. Like, this is not really what I want to do. Here I am on another interview, trying to get another job to have another safe space. This is not what I want to do. But this is what I got to do, And the fact that the pay was so like lower, because let me just say on my last job, I actually made more money. I actually made the most money I've ever made in my life on my last job. I did. And so that was nice. So anyway, I get to the interview and I'm thinking like the interview is going well, you know what I'm saying? Of course, free benefits, you know what I'm saying? Fly me out, you know what I'm saying? So I'm figuring like, I'm about to, I'm just about to get this job. And at least I'll have that steady income coming in again. It's not as much as I made last time, but cool. And so while I'm going through the interview, the lady was asking me about like my work schedule and my availability. And so I say to her, I was just like, I am definitely open. I'm available, but I cannot work. I prefer not to work on Sundays because on the weekends, I am a gigging musician where I have shows, I have gigs. And then on Sundays, I'm a church musician. So I was just like, at least I can work it out with the gigs Friday and Saturdays, whatever. I was like, but at least on Sundays, I just, prefer to be off. And it was like these people saw a ghost. It was almost like I had stood up in that interview and said like 2 or 3 cuss words. They did not budge on that. And they were like, yeah, that's not going to be the case. And they flat out, and they were very transparent. They were very transparent and let me know that with that particular airline, with that particular position, there was no flexibility. And the lady even went as far as to say on this job, you're on call. And when you're on call, it's mandatory. Even when you're on your off day, she was like, you work 5 days a week, you're off 2 days. But even on those 2 days, you're on mandatory call, which means if somebody calls out sick or if somebody's on vacation, being that you're new, we're going to call you first to come in. And it's mandatory, especially in the next 60 days. And she literally said that this job does not have a lot of flexibility for you to have in so many words, an outside life or any outside commitments. You know, she was like, we expect to be your priority. And I was just like, first one through my mind was like, for as much as y'all paying, what? Okay, I mean, I get it. This is your job, but I'm like, okay. So she was like, so it was two of them interviewing me. So the one lady said, she was like, I can almost guarantee you, she flat out said that she was like, you're not going to be off on Sundays. And she was like, and if you have a gig on the weekends, you know, where you're performing, and she was like, and if you ask to be off, you know, on a Friday or on a Saturday, she was like, I can almost guarantee you, if that happens within the next 60 days, it's going to call for termination. Because of the probationary period or whatever. So I'm just sitting there like, and it was like a shift happened in the room. Like I wouldn't say my energy shifted, and on the inside it did, because I was trying to hold it together. I was like, yeah, yeah, I don't know, because that means I'm going to be working 24/7. You know, I'm not going to have time to do anything else. And so the lady was like, you know, is that a deal breaker? And I was just like, no, I mean, you know, trying to downplay it. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, nah, I need this job. You know what I'm saying? So I was just like, you know, no, that's, I mean, it's not a deal breaker. You know, I can work around it. Like I can definitely work around that. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't play for a church like every Sunday. But I'm thinking like, and if somebody asks me to play or book me, I can say no. And I'm like, oh man. So it was two of them. It was two ladies interviewing me. And so the one lady, she was like, she looked at the other lady interviewing, and she was like, hold on. She was like, before we go any further, she was like, I gotta say this. And she was like, this may be inappropriate. She was like, what is your calling? Like, what are you called to do? And she's like, I feel like this would be taken away from what you value above anything else. And she was like, you cannot let this be something that is taking you away from your calling. And I tried to downplay like, oh no, you know, but really when she asked that question, like it kind of sent chills to my body. Because I'm like, here I am trying to get another job, and I'm confronted again with the question, with the whole aspect of follow your calling, follow your purpose. You know what I'm saying? Follow what you're called to do. And although that's easy to say, it is hard to do. And it made me think about, and I kept thinking about that when I left, and I was just like, man, okay, if I don't know if they're going to hire me, whatever. But I just, with this whole being laid off, and just for the past few months, it has been crazy emotionally, because there are days where I just wake up and I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing with myself. I have no idea what direction to go next. I know where I don't want to go, but I don't even know in what direction to put one foot in front of the other. And it has been so many like confirmations of like follow your purpose. And just let me give you some background, because it's funny, because I had ran into one of my friend's moms yesterday, and I was at the library printing out my resume, and I saw her, and she was like, I'm just so happy. I'm seeing you doing your thing with music finally. You're out there more, this and the other. And she was like, what are you getting your resume for? I was like, well, I have an interview at the airlines tomorrow, And she was like, she was like, that's good. But, don't let it mess up your music. Don't let it mess up your gigging and this and the other. And me and her talked about that. We had just talked about this yesterday before the interview, me and my friend's mom. And I was like, oh, no, it's not. At least I don't think so. She kept emphasizing that. And the reason why that's so important to me is because, so funny enough, when I was working my job last year and earlier this year. So if you don't know, I am a singer-songwriter. I am a local singer-songwriter. I gig at different bars, events, R&B events, soul, events in my city. And I'm a church musician on Sundays, But last year while I was working, I was not booked, not once. Just to give you some context, I was not booked, not once. And I would come to work every day, hating my job, hating being there, because at the end of the day, there's a lot of things I don't know, like math or like, anything that is high knowledge. But one thing I do know, and that I feel at the pit of my soul, is that I'm not called to work a 9 to 5. I'm not called to the corporate world. That's not my thing. I have always felt I was called to do something greater outside of the corporate world, whether it's music, whether it's ministry, whether it's, theater or whatever, or just, whatever it is. I've always felt that. And so all while I was working at my last job, I used to come to work and I used to just hate it. And I realized from my last few jobs that it wasn't even my jobs. It wasn't even the career that I had. It wasn't even the field that I was in. It wasn't my boss. At my last job, my coworkers were really good people. I went out with, to, a couple of bars here and there with one of my coworkers. And my other coworker gifted me an air fryer. You know what I'm saying? They were really good people. My boss was just the definition of true and honest and integral leadership. She really was when it comes to management. Like, she was just awesome. You could literally depend on her to do her job. And in today's world, and sometimes it's hard to find. So it wasn't them, but I just would come to work every day like, why do we have to be here so long? I would much rather be working on music. I would much rather be doing other things. And it used to really depress me to the point that I literally would get off work at 5, because after getting up at 5 a.m. to go to the gym and then go to work from 8 and then get off at 5, I would sometimes come home and just throw myself across my bed and at 5 and wouldn't move till about 7 or 8, because I was just like, there has to be more to my life than this, And last year was hard because, like I said, I wasn't booked. I didn't have not one show. I didn't have not one gig. And it was hard on me seeing my other, musical colleagues, like, oh, look, I have a gig, or look, I'm on a show, or here's this, or I'm in concert, da, 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 da. Or seeing, people's channels take off and all this stuff. And I used to it used to crush me. I would call my friend Jordan all the time and be like, man, I wish I was performing. I wish but only thing that was to my life was the gym and work, the gym and work, the gym and work. And so I would tell my coworkers, they would be like, man, when you having a show so we can come check you out? You know what I'm saying? I mean, I would be like, I'm working on it. And I would reach out to so many people like, hey, can y'all book me? No. Hey, can y'all book me? No. And it had not been like that before. Years prior, I was booked and all that. But last year and earlier this year, that was not the case. And so I found it to be quite interesting. The week, hear me closely. The reason why this is such a big deal to me is because the week that I got laid off back in March, it was like 3 days later, I'm walking into the gym and all of a sudden this guy hits me up and was like, hey man, can we book you for 2 summer dates? I'm like, what? I'm like, I don't even know if I still can sing. You're like, what? It was so random. I hadn't heard from this dude in 2 years. And this place had not booked me in 2 years. They was like, hey, yo, can we book you for 2 dates this summer? And I was like, yeah. So immediately I leave the gym. I go home, start working on my set list. After that, I start reaching out to other places. Boom, get another gig. Boom, get another gig. Boom, get another gig that wanted to book me for two gigs. And it was just like I had gig after gig. I was booked like crazy, This is about a couple months ago, and even last month, just up until last month. And I actually have a gig next Friday that I have to work on when I come back from the gym and walking outside today. So I have a gig next Friday. And last week I had a gig at this brewery with my band, and it was crazy. And just receiving the love and having people tell you that, just affirm you being talented and affirm you being where you're supposed to be. There's no feeling like it. And there were so many people that knew, not so many people, but there were certain people that knew how I would call them last year, like, oh, nobody's booking me. And they would see me post a flyer like, yes, man, I'm so happy for you. And so it's just like, I am in that place of my life right now where it's like, I want to continue that. And I don't want to put myself in a position where I'm like going to work, at a job that I'm like, oh my God, and I'm at home like, oh my God, I don't have no energy to write or to practice or to, I don't want that, And so it brought me back to that whole thing of just following your calling and versus finding it. And what I mean by that, and I got to say this quickly and then I got to get out of here. So, number one, two things I think we need to normalize is I feel like we should really normalize just being at a point in your life where you're like, I don't know what to do. Because there are certain days, like I said before, I feel lost. There are certain days I'm like, man, I'm 33, just got laid off. I don't have no kids. I'm single. I don't know. And it leads me back to the last video. And if you haven't watched that video, go watch that video. It leads me back to that, asking yourself that question, like, what do I really want? As a person that is 33, laid off, looking for work, the most thing that I really want in this point in my life, one thing that I feel, and I even feel it now, is that this is the beginning of something huge, and this is the beginning of something new for me. And that's one thing I really strongly believe. What's at the tip of my heart right now is, like I said in the last video, I really want to start new. I really want to relocate. Yes, you guys know I want love and all of that, but I really want to relocate. I really want to do more of what I love to do. Sometimes I don't know how to get that done. Like, I don't know like who to contact. I would love to do like urban plays like Tyler Perry and David E. Talbert. I would love to do more performing and content creation. I would love all of that. And sometimes I feel like I don't know like what to do or how to get that going. But I know in my heart that it is due for me to walk into something new. It is due for me to have a new start. It is due for me to meet new people. It is due for me to do something new. And at this point in my life, I crave newness. I really want to relocate. I really want to go into a different direction other than the corporate world. But in reality, sometimes I don't know how to get that done because rent is still due. Rent is going to still be due on the 1st. But it brings me to this thought to everybody that feels like, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to get this thing done. Number one, I feel like we have to do away with this thought of, I'm afraid of doing something wrong. Because even with this whole me getting on here and saying, hey, I'm unemployed, hey, I'm laid off, I was like, I don't know if that's the right thing. I don't want to do anything wrong. Is that the right? Because we're so afraid of doing something wrong, not understanding that, hey, we're all out here just winging it sometimes. And then number two, especially if you're a believer, you have to understand that your steps, the things that you do, they are ordered and ordained by God, even when you don't see the full picture. And so it is okay to have those moments where it's like, I'm lost. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to get to the next step. I kind of know what I want, but I don't know. It's kind of hard. And so when you tell people, find your calling, find your purpose, find your calling, find your purpose. So what I would say to you is, not so much as to find your calling or to find your purpose, but I would say to you, follow your calling and follow your purpose. Because a lot of times we have to rearrange how we identify purpose and destiny and goals and callings. In my opinion, I think we look at callings and we look at purpose as a destination rather than a direction. And I think those are two different things. And so although you may not know the destination of your calling, identify the direction of it. In other words, move into that direction. Instead of trying to identify a destination, like my purpose is this, my purpose is that, move into that direction. In other words, move into the directions of your interests, of the things that make you feel free. Whatever makes you feel free and makes you feel alive in this season, move into that direction. Just move into the direction of freedom. Move into that direction of productivity for you. Move into that direction of purpose. And I'll never forget, I had said this years ago on this channel, but I had a best friend in high school, and I would never forget, all throughout high school, all she wanted to be was a teacher. She made it known, I'm going to school for education. I want to be a teacher. I want to be a teacher. All throughout high school, all throughout senior year, that's all she talked about. I want to be a teacher. While she was in college, that's all she talked about. I want to be a teacher. And I remember when she graduated and she finally got what she said her purpose was to be a teacher. And she became a teacher at a school, and her very first year, she hated it. She hated it. She was like, that's not what I want to do. I hate it. It is not for me. And now she is back in that place of feeling like, what is my purpose? What am I called to do? What is next for me? And that's true for a lot of us. We might not can say definitively what our purpose is, like, this is what I'm called to do, but just move into that direction of freedom. Move into the direction of that thing that makes you free. And so for me right now, yes, I'm looking for work, but what makes me free right now is music, is creativity, is the arts, is ministry, is being around people that I know that love me. And that's what I want right now. So I don't know. I just wanted to come on here and talk to you guys just about give you this life update and just about finding and following your purpose. And I hope this was helpful. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.